Okay, I'm back on this project today, and hopefully I can, my cold is a little better. I won't cough as much or speak in tongues. So Nate also called me and gave me some information. He went to this job. It's in Middle Tennessee, so he called me from there and gave me some information. And so I found out what is going on here, which was just good timing because I was just getting ready to put a hip in here on this roof, and I will have to have somewhat of a hip. So I think I'll go ahead and do the hip since I have my trusty tool that trims these things from Medique extensions. So I think I'll go ahead and do that now. I was gonna just take out this valley rafter and just do a gable, which I'll show you in a minute. But I think I'm gonna do the hip first, and then do this gable inside here. You'll see what I'm talking about soon enough. But it's funny, on these hip roofs, they're a little cantankerous because when these rafters are coming this way and then they're coming this way, you can't just take a regular rafter and turn it 45 degrees because well, if you did, I'll show you why why you can't. Might as well not talk about it. I can just show you right quick because not a huge hurry. I'm in a little bit of a hurry because it's going to be beans and rice time in a few hours. So you see, if I turn that rafter 45 degrees, a common rafter pitch is not the same as the valley rafter or the hip rafter. You see, a hip or valley rafter is always going to have a lower pitch by probably up to 10 degrees. And there's rafter tables that will show you this. But you can see all I did was take a common rafter and turn it 45 degrees, and you can see that it's the wrong angle. So the roof angle is a 10-12 pitch, and just for the fun of it, we can take this. How would we do that? Well, we do it right here on the side of it. If I go 12 inches, is it 12? Then try to measure up. You see, that's only a 6 3/4 12. Is that 12 inches? Yeah. So you can see the difference, and so now I'm done with that. What I did was I drew those lines because what you want to do is make your decking line up. You want the decking coming this way to hit this edge over here, and the decking coming this way to hit that edge of the hip rafter. See, if we zoom in kind of, you can see that those lines represent the decking coming both ways, and that's how I adjusted. Now there's extensions that do this, but I thought since I was in hand draw mode, I would just draw this. And I was trying to show too that this is an LVL because you can't just use a rafter. Whatever you're using for rafters will not work as your hip or valley rafter. Okay, and what I do, and some people will double like a 2x12 or something, but I like to use LVLs because we can use a single LVL, and in this case we'd probably have like an 11/7/8. So the hip rafter or valley rafter has to be wide enough in this vertical direction so that the bottom of the rafter doesn't hang down below it. That's a no-no. the rafter can stick up a little bit above it, like this, and sometimes they do. But they can't, the bottom can't hang down below. I'm not going to get too anal about this as far as getting it exact. I'm just trying to give you kind of the basics of how the hip and valley rafters work. So, but I have this cool extension. Let me get to where I can see all the rafters, the tops of them. I have this cool extension, these tools from Medique's extension. They're called Medique tools, and one of them is trim. And what you do is you choose the face you want to trim to, and it takes a second to snag it. And then you go up and hit the end of the piece you want to trim. You see it's cutting it back. This is super handy because I used to literally have to go and cut these rafters by hand by drawing lines around the edges of them and just using the push-pull tool or something. You see. Now this ridge is going to come back. And what's funny about this is that, honestly, I don't really need to draw this much of this roof, but I thought it would be interesting to show how the hips and valleys work. So this ridge, if you'll notice, when you're doing a hip, the length of the ridge is determined by one common rafter back from this wall. You see, what we do is we take a common rafter. A common rafter is this standard long rafter. Okay, we take it on the end of the house and we turn it 90 degrees. Okay, that is what tells us where the ridge stops at the top. Okay, if you've ever wondered how we know where the hip stops. So now we can do the same on the other side. We can take this and get to where I can see them all, and I can go ahead and delete these over here. I don't want them messing up my. Oops, that wasn't exploded. Some of these have not been exploded yet. This one, when they come out of the extension, they are made as groups as they should be. But those rafters, they would call that a bent, like in a timber frame, where you have a set of two rafters that make that A-frame. We would call that a bent. Not really in conventional framing, but that's the closest thing. The closest analogy I can come to. Uh-oh, what did I say? There. Now I can see the ends of them. Let me turn off those pictures for a second. Now I can really see the ends. Because now I can pick this side. Medique truss, tools, trim. Pick. Gotta make sure I get the right thing. There we go. That'll turn green. I don't know why it takes a second, but it's I guess the algorithm's going nuts on us. And then you just pick the end of the thing you want to trim, and you'll see that it's trimming it back, each one. Which is super handy. And I can delete that thing, that rafter over there. There we go. And you can see after you cut your rafters back, you have a neat hip. After you cut your rafters back to the hip rafter. And again, this hip rafter has to be wide enough. Typically it's like one dimension lumber wider. Like if this is a 2x8, you can get by with a 2x10. Sometimes you can't, depending on the pitch of the roof. On steeper pitch roofs, you might have to go to a 2x12. But again, I always use LVLs because uh, some building inspectors are kind of anal and they'll want you to double. If you use dimension lumber for a hip, they'll make you double it. So I just avoid all that, and I use LVLs for my hips and valleys. So what's funny about this is I eyeballed the original drawing. Let's see, where's my roof scheme? This is the original drawing I did just looking at this, just eyeballing it. You can see, but you can see how far I was off because I thought this pitch was like a 12-12, and it's a 10-12, and so it's different. So that was a good guess, and if I didn't have to worry too much about this roof juncture right here, I wouldn't have worried about it. Roof scheme, but now I have accurate information, and we're gonna make it more accurate. So now what's going to happen is, since I know, the other thing I know now is that I thought originally this might have a flat ceiling in here, or a hipped vault or something like that. But Nate went and took some pictures, and we now know exactly what it is. A gable, a vaulted gable inside there. You can see there at the top picture. So now we know what to do. There's no substitute for good intel from the site. The reason I did the hip first is because there's still a hip on this side. I mean, there's the rest of the house over here. I ain't getting paid to draw the whole house, so I'm only drawing the part that I have to draw. Now, if I go to the rafter that's in the middle, it should be long enough, but I'm just going to be, out of a caution here, I'm going to select this one. And because these rafters go away right here. Yeah, they'll go away, but I'm going to leave them for just a second, and you'll see why in just a minute. Just be patient. Patience is a virtue. So we're going to turn this way. We're going to turn it 9 degrees, and we're going to run it back over here. That would be a house line rafter. Okay. So it would sit right here and go right here, and also go back 1.5 inches. It would actually be sitting right here. All this may seem kind of convoluted at first, but we're gonna pick through all this. Okay, we're gonna pick through it, but I want to show Nate what he might be dealing with on this corner first, before we do that. So now what I'm going to do is, told you that was going to be too long, but I knew it was going to be long, so that's what matters. Now I'm going to mirror it, make sure I'm in the middle, and I want to go -1 to get a good mirror. And then this rafter is going to go here. You see, now we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of this, where and I'm not going to change the layout. I originally started the layout, and we would do this. That common rafter I told you about that made the hip, that stopped, told us where the ridge stops up here. We would typically lay out from that direction both ways, so that our sheeting would work out the way we wanted it to. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put I'm going to leave these so that I don't have to recut these, like relay it out. I'm going to put a rafter on each side. And this is really no big deal. It's not like I know exactly where all the rafters are, right? Are those the same tails? Yeah. So I'll have one here. Why is that rafter? Oh, I see. I must have snapped to the wrong thing. Yeah, I did. And then I'll just put one beside. And that'll go back until I'll just put some back here. That might not seem it might seem weird at first, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Because what I'm trying to do is find out where that hip. I thought it was right there. It's going to be right there somewhere. And so I do the same thing on this side. Then I'll stick myself a ridge in there. See? And because that's what happens on the inside. You remember that picture I showed you? It's vaulted in there like this. So these rafters are going to go away, but I kept them there for a minute because there's this little return on each end. See these little returns? So there's going to be some kind of little nubby rafter thing there, but I don't need these in the middle, so I can get rid of them. I think I'll just leave one on each end for now. They're not hurting anything. And so now I need a piece of a ridge. So I guess I'll snag. Well, it doesn't matter. I can just draw one. I'll get myself a line from here and 3/4. This can be a piece of dimension lumber, 3/4. And what it would do is it would go from, that's why I left these long, because it'll go from here to there. Let's see what a 2x10 would do. No, we're going to need another LVL. So we'll go from here to there. LVLs are, they're kind of expensive, but when you're doing the roof framing like this, you really need a really good piece of lumber. And LVLs are like that. They are very dependable. So I'm starting to get the picture here. So we're going to make that a group. Triple click, group, and now we can cut these back. Why is that? What happened there? Something that's not level. Look, that's supposed to be. That's weird. Is this when I pulled that, let's take something level and stick it right here. Let's grab a line off that, and we'll put it right there. Okay. What is up with this? Is this not, that's, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Alright, so, you see, I didn't get this. Alright, now I'm cooking. I got it now. This rafter, the very rafter I needed to be correct, was not out. Somehow I missed my reference point. Yeah, see now it's lining up with the hip rafter. But see, that made this off. Thankfully I found that quickly, because sometimes those little gremlins can be hard to find. And see, that threw the center of my ridge off. So we are going to get rid of, we're just going to delete all these grid lines and start again. No big deal. I could make this quicker now that I know what size, just by drawing a ridge that's 1.5 by 11 and 7. If we're going to use an LVL, it would be 1.75 inch and 3/4 by 11 and 7/8. 11 7/8. There we go. Now we can make that a group and put it right here. Grab the center first, put the center right there, then drag it down to where it hits those. Okay. Now this should be you'd be surprised how that actually happens in real life sometimes. How those mistakes get made. And then you end up with an out of level ridge, because what would have happened is they would have set these two rafters first and then set two rafters back here, and the whole ridge would have been out of level. They would have started noticing it as they start putting these rafters up, but now we should be good. Now we can get to where we can see all the ends of these rafters and go to our extension, trim tools, select the back of that, and then we can select all these. I love this trim tool. This has to be the most handy tool made for SketchUp, and it's made by Medique. I'm sure there's another tool out there just like it somewhere, but this is Medique's, and I like it. So you just pick the face, which is the back side of that ridge, and you can see this is why I didn't worry about how long the rafters were in the beginning. Okay. Now this room, I don't know how far that wall goes, but the room keeps going back. Okay, in here, not there. Where am I? I'll turn the picks off. They get in the way sometimes. This room keeps coming back this way. Like this wall keeps coming back this way. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. What I'm trying to worry about is really just this little part down here. How this is going to affect. Now I know this wall, I know this rafter is sitting on that wall. Let's see, how can I do this? Well, we're not gonna worry about it right now, per se. Then this ridge would have been sticking over at 12 inches. Well, it would have been 10 and a half. And then it would have a barge rafter on it. But let's deal with this right here first. Because what would happen next is you would have a piece of, well, we need a barge rafter, don't we? Yeah. So the barge rafter would have been, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy that, and it would be, that's why you only make the barge rafter hang out 10 and a half if it's a 12-inch overhang, because we would nail the barge rafter to the end of it. These are not components. Good. And then that little nip, that would be nipped off like that. Did I get it down far enough? Yeah, like that. And then it would only be a 2x6. So it would be 5.5, okay? And so we go here. Where does that end? Way down here somewhere. Okay. And the reason is because, like, say you're using a 1x8 fascia, you would use a dimension number 1 less. Like, if you're using a 1x8 fascia, you'd have a 2x6 sub fascia, or in this case, a barge rafter. Okay. Now, what would happen is when we put this ridge up, it would be notched so that it didn't hang down past that. Okay, because the soffit, as a matter of fact, it would be where, I know you're thinking all these details. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff we have to worry about when we're framing. It would actually be up here, because the soffit is going to be nailed on the bottom of that, and it can't interfere. It has to keep going a little bit. Right, so that's that. And then let me get rid of these guidelines. And then we'd have this one going this way. Let's see, am I going to flip it around right? Yeah. Like that, see? Just like that. And you don't want to leave those points. I saw a guy leave these points on these before, and it was sticking up above the decking, and it got the roof cap got hot and melted around it. So you want your roof cap to be nice and rounded up there. You don't want those pointy rafters sticking up in the air. Okay, so now we can get rid of this ridge, this hip rafter up to here. Is this spam? Hello?
I'm looking to speak with Tony Griffey.
This is he.
Hi, Tony. My name is Francesca. I am your business software advisor from Odoo, O-D-O-O.
Oh, okay. I thought you were spam, but I'm in an online meeting right now. So, can you call me back later?
I apologize.
That's okay.
Okay,
Just call me back.
I'll give you a call back tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
I thought that was spam. I was going to give him a hard time. What do you mean calling me while I'm on? But she's a nice lady, so I'm not going to mess with her. So what this would do is, this is actually a pretty good roof too. Where's my green axis? There it is. To do this with, because I'm just going to draw a random piece of decking here, and then I'll adjust it, make it like that, and then we'll pull it up. And typically what we do is we'll leave this, you don't bring it up to there, we leave a little gap, an inch gap for the ventilation, ridge vent, but for the sake of this video I'm just going to put it right there. Now we're getting somewhere, because this roof would keep going, this little gable inside would keep going, right, like this. Now you're starting to see the big picture, aren't you? Yep, I knew you would. I'm going to make that a group. Triple click. Group. Now we got some business going on. Because what's going to happen is this hip rafter is going to get cut back to there. And you're going to say, well, that looks funny. Well, yeah, it does, but that's the way it works. That is the, and it would block underneath the decking here to give it something solid to land on. But what I can do is use my trusty Medique trim tool and pick the face of that decking and come down here and say bye. But you see, I had to have that hip rafter all the way down here to know where it was going to go first. So that's why I started out with it down there. And now you see, I don't need these rafters anymore that I left in place for the fun of it. It's all becoming clear now, right? The master plan. And I'm going to steal this and put it over here. Control. I want to do this. If you mirror it and you do this, and then you say, you just drag it over there random anywhere and go -1. See down there, the little number box. Then it will exactly mirror to what you want. Did I get lucky? Not exactly. Or did I? I did get lucky, did I? And then this piece would be obviously come on down. To here. Now what's going on? That hip rafter, I mean I'm not gonna worry about it right now. That I need to get that. Yeah, that's in the middle. I know what happened. I chopped off when I made it a 2x6. I must have chopped it off somehow. Anyway, that would come down. As a matter of fact, let's just do it because people are going to say, "What are you talking about?" I'm talking about this right here. This would be right there. It would be in line with these other rafters. And then it would be that should be right though. Yeah, the bottom of it is right. So there we go. And then this decking obviously keeps going. It's kind of funny though, in real life you can kind of fudge some of this stuff, but in CAD, nothing lies, so you can't fudge it. that easily. And then that would come over, and then this would there would be a line here that in like in the center of this, an imaginary line, where that decking, we're just gonna put one there for now. Why I want that? There we go. We'll just say it's right there. And then this point over here, let's put us a, I'm going to put us a construction line just to make it easier. That'll give me something to follow. Well, I can just, what is that? I want this point. Why can't I move that? Why can't I bring it up? Huh. That's weird. I thought I could just drag that up. I must not have. That's a little weird. Anyway, what we'll do is for now, again, I don't want to get too anal with this decking. But just to show you, and I'm not, thought I drew a line, man. Is that the bottom of that decking? Maybe I didn't get the bottom of the decking. Let's turn off the roof framing for a second. That's not it. I'm just going to bet I didn't get to the bottom of it, and I'm just looking at the edge of it. Yeah, that's what it is, because that should have closed. What layer is this? See, this is stuff you don't run into in real life. What is this again? Roof rafter. So if we turn off the roof rafters, what am I looking at? I know what to do. I know what to do. We're just going to pull this up. Okay, I was going to say, wait a minute. We're just going to kind of cheat a little here. Yeah, we're just going to pull this all the way up. There, and then we're going to draw us a line from here oh, it's a disease. Yeah, I should be able to push pull that. Yep. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. This part is like in real life, because what happens is your decking gets contorted sometimes where it's not on the same plane. And is that going to be? That's showing that I should be able to push pull that. Yeah, there we go. we go. I don't know why I was worried that much about that. Let's turn our roof rafters back on. There we go. Well, I really wanted to show the final shape of the roof, and the best way to do that is to put decking on it. So I think so. It gives you a better idea of what's going on. Now these, what I can do here is, which one of these is on the layout? What would happen now is this rafter, I could copy it down. Make sure I'm doing that right. Yep. Times 2. Oh, I lost my ability to do times 2. There we go. To do it again. Like that. Okay, so now this is kind of a back and forth thing, you see. So, you know, this part of the roof, which you would think would be the major part, ends up getting built on top of this gable so that you have this vault inside the room. See? So it's kind of interesting. Maybe you don't think it's that interesting, but I do. And I can use this same plate over here as, oops, what did I do? I made that a group. That's weird. Not sure why I did that. Oh, it's probably so I could copy it. Yeah, I mirrored it. I want that edge right there. So what we would do is we would nail these plates down on the roof so that you don't have rafters point loads, so that these rafters are not putting point loads on the decking. You can see they always hit between the rafters no matter what. So that means that rafter would be sitting just on decking if you left it without the plate there. And for some reason I got my plate knocked out of the, it's not sitting on top of the decking. Is that right? Yep. And then that corner would come out to there. There we go. And then this just kind of goes up here, not to a random point, but it doesn't have to fit perfectly. Sometimes they would just cut them, I don't know what happened to my construction line. It didn't go in the right place, but we would just run them up where they kind of touch. Get a line here. Yeah, where it just kind of touches it like that, and then it would be brought down this direction. Something is kind of funky. I can't get my construction line to cooperate. There we go. And then this one would, let's see, where are we at here? Yeah, this one would just run down and butt into that house line rafter going that way. Let's see if I can get that to lock on that. Yeah, the construction line. It would just come down to not that far. As a matter of fact, I could use a trim tool. I could have just ran it wild and used the trim tool to cut it back. Because some carpenters would do this. They would like make it neat and clean because oh, I know. I'm editing the group, so I gotta be out of that. Yeah, because that edge actually is what your decking rides on. Right. So the decking that's for this side of the roof doesn't have anything to ride on in between the. That's another reason we put the plate there. The decking would just be kind of flopping there, and you'd be trying to nail it down to the other roof decking, which is bad. It's not a good idea. It gets real bumpy when you do that. So that would be cut like that, where the decking would have something to ride on all the way down the valley. And then this trim, pick that, and I can go under here and find the ends of those rafters. Yep. And this one is part of the return, so I'm going to leave it. This is really the whole reason I was drawing this roof framing. This entire roof framing was because of this one little juncture right here. This convoluted little juncture. That's why I drew this whole thing just for this. But it's interesting to see how it all goes together. I don't need this. Oops. That was part of that. I don't need that. I didn't delete my decking, did I? Nope. So now you can see I have some roof sheeting. Let's see, existing, yeah. Now all that roof sheeting can be cut back. I'm not sure if I want to mess with all that right now, but it would help visualize. It would help visualize this, so maybe it's interesting. If I can get lucky and grab it the way I need to right away. Hopefully that's yeah, I can just pull that. Cool. That worked out pretty good. And then this part here would go from there, the end of that line, down to, see if I can get lucky again. Well, it would be right there, then that would extend to there. Oh, oops. Oh, I did get lucky, so that was worth the time. So the white, for some reason that's showing through. Oh, that is sticking up, isn't it? Or what is this going on? Yeah, this little booger. I'm not going to worry about it right now too much, because the main thing here I was trying to show is, again, this gable inside. My first inkling when I first saw this picture was they might not have vaulted that inside because of all this, because of that condition where these, it would have been, but now looking back on it, it does make more sense to do what they did, and that's that. Because they would build this little gable first, and then these rafters would come down and sit on top of it, like that. And if you see this, the new roof decking is the OSB color. This is that right there where it's already notched out, because that wall is taller. That notch right there is a product of this wall being taller than this wall over here. So you have to cut the notch out of the roof, you see. And so this is what we're looking at now. This juncture was, when I first started talking to Nate, was the one I was most interested in how this was going to work. And this is why I wanted to help him with this thing. So that's what this piece is. This piece of decking will be a new piece of decking that fills in this valley right here. And then there we go. What time is it? 4:37. Yeah. So that is how that would be framed. Now here, what's going to happen is this, when we start framing this new part, you see the tails of these. Well, these would have been already cut off. That's what I was looking at earlier. They would have been at least cut. They would have been cut back to this. Oh yeah, that is that wall. So they would have been. I thought that was the brick at first, but this is the brick down here. So they would at least be cut back. These two, and this one would have been part of the integration of this return. You see that little piece right there coming down? That little bitty nub. That is the rafter coming down this way and helping to form that return. Because you can't just glob on this stuff. It has to have something to attach to. So you would have left. I'm trying to rotate the picture. You'd have a rafter coming down here that would hang down, and you'd have one that way hanging down, and then you would block it. Then you'd start your blocking and all your soffit and fascia and gutter. I hate honestly, I don't hate anything, but I dislike these greatly. I would have never designed this house with this condition, because I don't like these situations. In a heavy rain, there's no way that this little 4-inch gutter with that little splash can contain all the water that both sides of this roof can funnel into that valley and then down to that one point. And this is why I was suggesting to Nate to drop this roof down to where when the water comes down the valley, it shoots out and then comes down into this. It'd kind of be, kind of do like this. The water kind of come down like that, or at worst, like that. But in any event, now the gutter down here can handle the traffic of both of these valleys coming. And really, what you don't want to do is you don't want to create a little trough right here. Like the higher the other, let's see if I can just pick something that'll show this right quick. I'll just pick this. Oh, that is the roof decking. Let's say this whole roof, this whole addition was raised up. Okay. I'm trying to go up arrow. You see, the higher up I come, the more of a trough I create. You see this little horizontal trough right there? You do not want that. You do not. You'd rather kiss your sister than having to have a little trough, because what this would do is create a place for leaves and crap, and it would leak right in there. Okay, so that's why we want to have this situation where, and I'm not finished. All this has to be, the soffit has to be drawn, and just running out of time for today. But eventually I'll have this fascia and soffit and all that stuff, and then we can pick it apart. And what's funny is the way this works out, we don't have to. This old stuff shouldn't interfere, with the new stuff, because you can see our ceiling line is down here, and so there'll be the other thing. The other advantage to doing this is that there's going to be very little downtime. I don't see any time where this roof will have to be torn off enough to where if you tore it off one day and it rained that night or the next day that you had to worry about it. That's the other reason for only having just this one little section up on that existing roof right there. Most of the new roof is down below and doesn't interfere with the new. But this is going to be kind of cool. It's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to get the drawings done and see it start to get built. So there may be a part 3 to this. I don't know. I may just try to finish up the drawings and get it out. I'm going to work on it this weekend. Yeah, maybe I'll live stream some more on this weekend. Until then, let's see. Did I have any questions? Oh, I did. The bearded guy. But why would you have to notch that? Oh, but wouldn't that add more support? Did you see why I have to notch it? Are you talking about the barge rafter up there at the top? You have to notch that. You have to notch it because, I hope you're still here. When you put the soffit on the bottom of this, we'll just draw a piece of soffit. Your soffit will go on the bottom, and we'll just draw a random piece for right now. Where's my green axis? Here we go. And that's going to be, it's 3/8 of an inch thick. It's fiber cement. And you'll nail a 2x2 on this rafter down at the same, down 5.5 inches, right? You'll pop a line right there, and you'll nail a 2x2 there, and then this soffit comes up. But you see, if I butt that into that, when I butt this one in there, see, that has to be up high enough. If I didn't notch it, that would be hanging down below the soffit. See? And no, I mean, if you use an LVL, you can rip down LVLs. They don't lose their. It's the structural quality gets applied to the new width, and so an LVL that wide will easily carry 12 inches of that part of the roof. So that's why the ridge has to be notched, or notched out like that. That allows us to use thinner. You see, the fascia boards aren't that wide. That might even be a 1x6 with a piece of shingle mold. You see, they could have even used a 2x4 barge rafter. I don't like it, but they probably did. But that's not going to affect anything we do. I can see them using a 2x4. Yeah, these 2x4 barge rafters on the dormers are something small. But now that I'm looking at this, they did use 1x6s for the fascia. So you see, you don't want some real thick, heavy fascia up there. So whatever you use for the rafters, you don't use for the porch rafter. Use something thinner, and that gives you that thinner profile on the fascia. Just watching some CAD work while I do some CAD work. Hey David, uh, it's always nice to see your videos. Thank you, David. Good. I was kind of got to go later. Oh well. Hope you saw my notch there, bearded guy. I guess you were already gone. Vorak. Hey Vorak. I should. Sorry about that. I'll try to keep checking the comments. I'm not used to getting a lot, so sometimes I just get involved with work and I don't see them. I need to get multiple monitors like everybody else has, and put comments on this monitor, put Pink Floyd on this monitor, and put the work on the one in the middle. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.